Again, there are 7 members currently living and working aboard the station. We have Raja Chari, Tom Marshburn, Mark Vandehei, and Kayla Barron of NASA. We have Pyotr Dobrov, Anton Skaplarov of Roscosmos, and Matthias Maurer of the European Space Agency. Once Cargo Dragon arrives to the station, it will dock to the Harmony module on the space-facing side of the stations and will join another Crew Dragon. It will join Crew Dragon Endurance, being the second Dragon to dock. Cargo Dragon now about 65 meters away from the station. If you're just joining us, this is Mission Control Houston bringing you live coverage this morning of the approach and docking of Cargo Dragon to the International Space Station. You're currently seeing a live view inside the International Space Station Flight Control Room. Cargo Dragon is looking for a docking time today, an updated docking time of 2:41 a.m. Central Time, 3:41 a.m. Eastern Time. Everything is still looking good for an approach and docking this morning. We do have an updated docking time of 2:41 a.m. Central Time. Dragon is currently holding at about 20-meter mark, making sure that everything's go before it finish its final approach.
Houston Station on 2 from the cupola. We see Dragon in hold, and it looks like it's solid in the corridor.
We copy that you see it in hold, so we need you in step 4, reviewing step 5 and 6, and we'll stand by for when you're ready for docking.
And that was the crew confirming that they have seen Cargo Dragon at its next milestone, waypoint 2, which is a 20-meter hold away from the station. Rajachari and Tom Marshburn are still in the cupola monitoring Dragon's approach this morning.
I copied that you saw hold. Based on that, we see you in step 4, reviewing step 5 and 6, and we'll be standing by for you're ready for docking.
Yep, we've reviewed steps 5 and 6. I think we may have had a short LOS, and we are ready for docking.
We copy, you're ready for docking. We're going to wait a couple minutes here for lighting, and we'll let you know when we get started.
And that was Capcom Michael Ellsworth telling the crew that we are go for docking, but we are waiting on preferred lighting conditions. And again, Cargo Dragon is looking for an updated docking time of 2:41 a.m. Central Time. Next up will be waypoint 2 departure to close in for contact and capture. We should see that departure just a few minutes from now. This is Mission Control Houston. If you're just joining us, we're bringing you live coverage this morning of the approach and docking of Cargo Dragon to the International Space Station. We have an updated docking time for Cargo Dragon at 2:41 a.m. Eastern Time, just about 5 minutes from now. That's 2:41 a.m. Central Time, about 5 minutes from now.
Station Houston on 2. Dragon is resuming approach and is go for docking. Monitor per steps 5 and 6 in 1.102. And for the rest of our crew members, the exercise constraint is in place.
And station copies, exercise constraint is in place. We see a good transition to approach the docking port and good alignment in the camera views. It looks like it's in the corridor.
Copy in the corridor and good camera views.
And you just heard.
Decreasing range and good RDOT.
Copy, we concur.
You just heard Capcom confirm with the crew that we have good lighting conditions and Dragon is now again in approach and docking to ready for docking to the International Space Station, just about 13 meters away from the International Space Station. And Dragon is currently 5 meters away from the International Space Station. Dragon is 2 meters away.
Two meters, chop.
Copy, crew, hands off.
One meter away. And that's soft capture complete at 2:41 a.m. Central Time.
Dragon contact and soft capture complete.
And copy soft capture.
Again, confirmed contact and soft capture confirmed at 2:41 a.m. Central Time as the International Space Station and Cargo Dragon were flying 265 statute miles over the South Pacific Ocean.
Station Houston, ring retraction in progress.
Station copies.
The soft capture ring is now retracting.
And Houston Station on 2, we say both undocking complete sensors have gone out and starting our timer.
Houston copies and concurs. Station Houston, ring retraction is complete. Docking sequence is holding for MCS reconfiguration.
Station copies.
We are currently standing by as Dragon undergoes some final steps for hard capture. This is the first. We just had the retraction of the soft capture ring. There are also 12 hooks that will drive to maintain a hard mate with the International Space Station.
Station Houston, MCS is configured. We are proceeding with hook driving.
Copy, and we see the same and proceeding with hook driving.
Currently driving 12 hooks that will maintain a hard mate with the International Space Station. That will be the final milestone before Cargo Dragon is officially docked to the International Space Station. We have soft capture and and we're looking for that hard mate with 12 hooks driving.
At Houston Station on 2, just wanted to confirm we are showing we'd be complete with corrections for 1.102 and that you no longer need us in the cupola.
That's affirmative. I'll be giving you a call here shortly just to let you know when hard capture is complete, and at that point we'll lift exercise. So stand by for that call, but we don't need you monitoring anymore in 1.102.
All right, copy. Thank you.
Station Houston on 2, hard capture complete. This means our exercise constraint is lifted. Tom was go for tool teardown. And for Raja, you can take 5 minutes. We're going to do some umbilicals before we're ready for your pressurization part 1.
In 2021, we touched down on Mars, then reached new heights on the Red Planet. We also made progress preparing for a flight test around the Moon. And we had a very busy year in low Earth orbit, exploring other deep space destinations, addressing climate change here on our home planet, testing technologies for next-generation aircraft, and much more. Here's a look back at those and other things we did this year at NASA. There were plenty of developments in 2021 with existing and future missions designed to explore our solar system and beyond.
Touchdown confirmed. Perseverance safely on the surface of Mars.
The Perseverance rover landed on Mars in February and later collected its first rock core sample, which could be retrieved and returned to Earth by a future mission. While the Ingenuity helicopter, a technology demonstration on that mission, became the first aircraft to make a powered, controlled flight on another planet. We completed testing of the James Webb Space Telescope and sent it to its launch site in French Guiana. The wide array of science missions we sent to space included the first mission to study the polarization of X-rays, the first spacecraft to visit Jupiter's Trojan asteroids, and our first planetary defense test mission. Our Chandra X-ray Observatory may have detected signs of a planet crossing in front of a star outside of our Milky Way galaxy for the first time. While our Parker Solar Probe provided surprising views of Venus during a close flyby and became the first spacecraft in history to touch the Sun, flying through and sampling the environment in the Sun's upper atmosphere. And the Transiting Exoplanet Survey Satellite, or TESS, helped discover a trio of hot worlds larger than Earth orbiting a much younger version of our Sun. Some new but familiar faces took on leadership roles at the agency. The Biden-Harris administration chose former Senator and Space Shuttle payload specialist Bill Nelson and former astronaut and Space Shuttle commander Pam Melroy as NASA's newest administrator and deputy administrator, respectively. Some of our work in 2021 reflected the Biden-Harris administration's commitment to addressing climate change and its effect on our home planet, something NASA is uniquely positioned to do. We announced our Earth System Observatory, a new set of missions to help guide efforts related to climate change, disaster mitigation, fighting forest fires, and improving real-time agricultural processes.
And liftoff. Liftoff of an Atlas V rocket and Landsat 9.
We partnered with the U.S. Geological Survey to launch the Landsat 9 satellite, built to continue the program's 50-year track record of monitoring the planet's changing landscapes. Several weeks later, Vice President Kamala Harris visited the agency as we unveiled the satellite's first images. NASA conducted and participated in a series of climate change studies related to high tide floods and Earth's energy imbalance and energy budget.
This animation shows.
As part of a global response to climate change, we participated in the UN Climate Change Conference. We captured data with a specialized instrument on the space station to help fight forest fires in the western U.S. We also coordinated with researchers to develop dashboards on the spread and effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, including tracking any changes to worldwide air pollution. And we launched an online platform called OpenET to help farmers and water managers in 17 western U.S. states accelerate improvements and innovations in water management. 2021 was the busiest year for human spaceflight at the International Space Station in a decade. It also marked the start of the 21st straight year of humans living and working in space. The splashdown of our SpaceX Crew 1 mission marked the completion of the first operational commercial crew flight to the station and the first nighttime splashdown of a U.S. crewed spacecraft since Apollo 8 in 1968.
And liftoff. Godspeed, Discovery, and Crew 2.
Our SpaceX Crew 2 mission followed that. It was the first commercial crew mission to fly 2 international partners and spent a record 199 days in space. And in November, NASA's SpaceX Crew 3 mission arrived at the space station for a planned 6-month scientific research mission. Astronauts and cosmonauts completed 13 spacewalks outside the space station, the most in a year since 2010. With no slowdown to human spaceflight in sight, we introduced 10 new astronaut candidates in early December. We also accepted applications for the next class of flight directors and announced plans for the agency's first 2 private astronaut missions to the International Space Station. Cargo missions flown to the space station by our commercial partners delivered more than 33,000 pounds of science, tools, and critical supplies, and returned thousands of pounds of research and equipment to Earth. And we signed agreements with 3 companies to develop early concepts of commercial destinations as part of our efforts to enable a robust American-led commercial economy in low Earth orbit. We made significant progress in 2021 preparing for the Artemis 1 integrated flight test around the Moon next year. Engineers at our Kennedy Space Center finished installing and testing components and systems for the Orion spacecraft to make sure it is ready for Artemis 1. Meanwhile, teams at our Stennis Space Center completed the 8-part Green Run test campaign with the Space Launch System, or SLS, rocket's core stage. There was also work in 2021 toward future Artemis missions to the Moon with astronauts. We delivered a key piece of Artemis 2 flight hardware to Florida, completed the welding of another major piece of hardware for the mission, and conducted a series of water impact testing with a
very proud, not just in this mission, but in your many missions where you've served our nation. And this is a thrill for me. I want you to know you're making me a very a prideful grandfather too, because I've got a couple astronaut grandkids who are listening to this, who want to follow in your footsteps. So thank you.
Well, I would say thank you right back to the state of Washington. I was raised there from about 7th grade on, so I think it was 12 or 13 when we first moved to Washington, and it just had such an influence on me. I had an amazing experience at Richland High School, had fantastic teachers, mentors, and coaches, including my mom, who coached me at Richland High for cross country and track, so I wouldn't be where I am without those influences.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. I got a couple questions for you. I'm just dying to ask you, if I may. You served, I believe, on the USN Maine, one of our great submarines, and now you're in the space station. Which has the better view, the submarine or the space station?
That's a tough call, but I think I'd say the view out of the cupola window up here on the space station beats any view you can really find on Earth. However, I think there's something really special about the view out of a periscope in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, and especially from the bridge where we drive the submarine when we're on the surface. I've seen some incredible things, to include standing watch at night while we're on the surface near Hawaii, and saw more stars then than I think I've ever seen in my whole life, because we were so far away from light pollution. There was bioluminescence in the water, glowing, making the submarine's hull glow as we move through the water. So I've had some incredible views on both vessels, that's for sure.
Well, you know, that's a very interesting comment, because you're suggesting that we can experience the cosmos on Earth as well as you are right now, and that maybe that's a pretty good insight that we can all enjoy it.
Oh, absolutely. I think we really have to pay attention to the world around us and our influence on it and its amazing influence on us. I have moments all the time, and certainly every time I visit Washington, whether that's my family in the Seattle area or Lake Roosevelt near Spokane or my parents in the Tri-Cities, where I'm just in awe of the amazing beauty of our natural environment. I even, right before my flight in July, I had a chance to go home and visit my family, and we spent some time on Lake Roosevelt, and I remember standing on this cliff face where we had sort of scrambled up on the rocks in the lake, this granite rock with the warm rock warming my back and looking out on these beautiful vistas of our gorgeous state and just thinking to myself, Earth is the best planet. So I would encourage everyone to take moments like that to enjoy the world around them.
Well, we appreciate it. We're working to protect that Earth here in Washington. We've been working to reduce the impact of climate change and reduce carbon pollution to try to take care of our little home planet. Do you have any feelings about that with being in space? Does that mean more or the same, or what do you think of all that?
Absolutely. I think that is so important for us to be thinking about, and it really brings me so much hope that our leaders like you are talking about that so consistently. I studied nuclear engineering in graduate school because I was interested in climate change and trying to understand what solutions would be important for our energy future. And of course, renewables, like you mentioned, and that you've worked on, sir, so important. Solar, wind, hydro, really, really important. But I was interested in next generation nuclear reactor technology, how we could make that technology safer for future generations, how we could help the fuel cycles be more efficient and easier to manage on the back end. And so I think looking out the window up here, you would be amazed how thin our atmosphere is. You can actually see it. You see the surface of the Earth, and especially at night, there's this sort of burnt orange glow at the edge of the atmosphere, and it's just paper thin. It's amazing to recognize how fragile that is and what a careful balance we need to maintain. And I think we need to be really conscious of what we're doing as the human race to affect that future for the generations that come after us.
Well, I cannot think of a more eloquent and knowledgeable spokesperson on this than you. So I want to thank you for those views. Just so you'll know, we are working on this in Washington State. I'm proposing some additional laws this year to reduce carbon pollution. And if I may, I will quote you about how thin and precious our atmosphere is. I think people will listen to you.
Yeah, absolutely, sir. We were actually just talking, a few of my crewmates and I, the other day about everything human beings need to survive. And the most important thing is the air we breathe, the ability to breathe clean air. And I think thinking about it in those terms and looking down at the planet from up here, you see how important it is for us to be paying attention to that now.
Well, thank you so much. Couple more questions. Tell us about experiments you're running up there. What kind of experiments will you be running?
We have over 350 science experiments going on up here just during our 6-month mission. So it's almost hard to keep track of all the things we do. But in broad categories, we're doing a lot of really interesting medical research where we're the subjects, actually, where they're trying to understand the effects of microgravity on our body, both to plan for future missions that are longer duration and further from Earth than we've ever been before, and also understand diseases and disorders on the ground and develop new treatments and medications for things like muscular dystrophy, various conditions in the eyes. We also are doing some really awesome fundamental research up here. We're trying to understand how liquids boil and condense. So we have a really cool experiment going on that we're just setting up now that could help us design